So my name is Sally and I've been coming to Vintage Grace with my family for around 3.5 years. So leading up to my baptism, I feel like God's been working in my life for quite a while. I used to go to church out of obligation and out of, a feeling of duty. And I just felt God starting to really open my eyes more about having a relationship with Jesus. And looking back now, I know that He was preparing me for a really big gap that was coming in my life. And that gap that was coming was that my mum was diagnosed with cancer and she was not responding to the treatment. And of course, during this time, it was the height of COVID lockdowns. And in my country, they had actually closed the borders completely. You couldn't get in or out. And God moved in a way during that time that He moved administrative mountains to get me there. When I would go to the hospital, they would have a nurse and a police guarding outside the door. And I thought, how can I not talk to her about Jesus? God has put literally a guard outside the door for you to have this conversation. And so I talked to her about Jesus, and at that moment, she noticed all the changes that had happened in me over those years, and she asked me how I'd gotten my faith back so strong. And it was just so incredible how that all came together. So in this gap that I was in, and also a gap that I'm currently in, I wasn't getting the answers to what I'd been praying for. And I really believed that that work that God was doing in me was all around how I would continue to grow in my faith and be stronger in my faith, despite the temptation to actually use that as a unjust reason that God didn't love me or God wasn't listening to me. My most recent gap was that I actually lost my job after 20 years of a career. I've never been laid off, and I experienced this just last year. I was angry and I felt like I had a shame I was carrying around, and I felt very confused about why would this happen to me? And in that moment, I started to think about what would it look like if I actually just said yes more. Finding that joy in Jesus is, I think, seeing those moments of just miracles that have happened in my life because I've been willing to say yes to the invitation to Jesus. And baptism had been on my mind a lot ever since my mom had passed, but something had been holding me back. And I thought, why am I 99% in? Like, what more does God need to do for me to show me how great He is? And appreciating how much more I'm getting out of these gaps than I would have if I'd been trying to walk this alone. And so I decided that it was time and that I wasn't going to wait any longer, and I was going to be 100% in. So if someone's on the fence about the baptism, I'd really think about, is there a fear that's holding you back? Is there really any reason why you wouldn't want God to continue to walk in these gaps with you? Because He's already walking in the gaps. But I think once you notice that, it's not a lot to show your thankfulness to give Him your yes. He's right there, He's waiting for you, and just give Him your yes and see what else He has in plan for you.